Greetings, humanity! Today is Monday, March 2nd, 2026. Let's GROK the news. I'm Robert Gardner, using GROK each weekday to help me search out and to summarize the biggest headlines in the news today. You also get the unparalleled benefit of this observer's opinion. We will briefly review a roundup of some of the most critical reports in the world, but first, and mostly a very deep, long dive into today's top story, the conflict in Iraq. Something of a special report coming up right after this. God with Us, the story of Jesus, is a full blending of all the Gospels into one continuous narrative, a story that misses nothing from the Savior's life. Inspired by the majestic text of the King James Bible, God with Us is adapted to modern language, formatted for easy reading. A faithful paraphrase divided into brief stories fit for daily Bible studies. This book was fully researched to present the story of Jesus from his birth to his ascension. Find God with Us by me, yours truly, Robert Gardner, at Amazon.com or wherever books are sold. And now let's grok the most important news in the world today, a special report, starting with our lead story, Dateline Tehran. In a dramatic escalation that has shaken the Middle East and global markets, the United States and Israel have launched a major joint military operation against Iran, codenamed Operation Epic Fury, resulting in the targeted killing of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei and dozens of top regime officials, including key figures in the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. These strikes involved precision airstrikes and possibly cyber elements to dismantle Iran's security apparatus and nuclear-related sites, though the International Association for Radiation and all of that has stated that there is no evidence of direct hits on nuclear facilities so far. President Donald Trump has confirmed the operation's success to this point, stating that he acted preemptively to prevent Iran from striking first, and provided updates indicating combat operations continue, with objectives not yet fully achieved. Trump warned that the campaign could last up to 4 weeks, and that more U.S. casualties are likely, following the deaths of at least 3 American service members. A U.S. military aircraft also crashed in Kuwait during operations tied to the Iran conflict, though crew members survived. Incidents highlight risks to the coalition forces in the Gulf. Iran's response has been swift and widespread. Retaliatory missile and drone barrages have targeted U.S. allies and interests across the Gulf, including strikes on Saudi Arabia, the refinery at Ras Tanura, facilities in Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, and Kuwait, as well as suspected hits on a British RAF base in Cyprus. Iranian forces also launched attacks linked to Hezbollah in London, prompting Israeli counterstrikes in Beirut. In the suburbs, they've killed at least 31 people so far, according to reports. In Israel, Iranian missiles caused casualties, including 9 deaths in Beit Shemesh, and sirens continue in central areas. With Khamenei's death confirmed by Iranian state media, the regime has formed an interim leadership council, and President Masoud Pezeshkian has resurfaced to project defiance, vowing continued defense, while some opposition voices express cautious hope for change. The conflict has triggered massive disruptions. Oil prices have surged sharply due to fears over the Strait of Hormuz being closed, along with its vital shipping routes of 20% of the world's oil. Global stocks have fallen, and airlines have, of course, canceled flights through closed airspace. U.S. officials, including Central Command, report the operation prioritizes regime targets so far, with Trump urging Iranians to overthrow the mullahs in a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And some reports of internal surrender discussions are happening. Allies like Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, and Qatar have condemned Iran's reckless attacks, while Russia has criticized the U.S. and Israel strikes. The White House frames this as peace through strength to end the nuclear threat. But the usual critics raise, frankly, false issues regarding congressional approval, and the professional worriers worry over long-term fallout. As Day 3 unfolds, the region braces for further escalation, with potential for wider involvement of other Gulf states or their proxies. Dateline Washington, D.C., Senator Lindsey Graham suggested Cuba is next, in comments reflecting the aggressive Trump administration rhetoric on regional adversaries amid the Iran operation. This observer thinks that Cuba might just fall very peacefully and happily into the American orbit. Dateline Washington, D.C. FDA Commissioner Marty McCary has warned that around 1,000 unnatural chemicals in processed foods are likely contributing to rising gastrointestinal cancers, alongside skyrocketing microplastics health concerns. One thing this observer has been glad of is to see the Trump administration, led by Secretary Robert Kennedy Jr., in cleaning up the food racket that has destroyed the health of so many Americans for more than a generation. Dateline Washington, D.C. Hard-left Democrats are pushing for Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to run for president in 2028, signaling internal party shifts ahead of future elections. Please don't throw this observer into that briar patch. Dateline Washington, D.C. Senate Majority Leader John Thune, the so-called Republican, has refused to employ a perfectly legal, perfectly traditional, talking filibuster, a good old-fashioned filibuster where you have to stand there in the Senate and debate your points. Well, he won't do that in order to advance the Save America Act, complicating legislative priorities in the upper chamber. Many Republicans, and this observer as well, are long past sick and tired, disgusted even, with Republican leadership acting against the Republican president and the American people, mainly Republican constituents. These are the people who not only elected Trump, but who also elected Thune. Thune has also used a procedural trick, by the way, to keep the Senate in pro forma session, and this has denied, since last March, President Trump the ability to make recess appointments to the courts and to many other very important government posts. Recess appointments is a constitutional gift to a president who faces a renegade Senate. Hopefully the House will go ahead and try to close Congress to give the president a chance to get some people working. This observer observes, once again, that establishment Republicans are not the friends of the American people, no more than woke Democrat socialists. He hopes President Trump can find a way to enforce voter ID and to limit COVID-era mail-in voting. Or, as we have seen, no American election will ever be safe again. Dateline: the Sahel region in Africa. Kidnappings of foreigners have soared in Africa's lawless Sahel, raising alarms over security in the volatile zone plagued by barbaric jihadist groups. Dateline: Pyongyang, North Korea. Speculation grows over whether Kim Jong-un's teenage daughter could emerge as North Korea's next leader, as reported here on GROK the News. There are questions about succession in the isolated regime. Dateline: Austin, Texas. A deadly mass shooting at a Texas bar has left at least 3 dead and 14 injured, with the FBI investigating it as a potential act of terrorism amid ongoing probes into the motive and the suspects. Dateline: Washington, D.C. NASA has announced revisions to its Artemis moon landing program, including a new test mission to reduce risks and gaps before humanity returns to the moon. I thank you for listening today to this special report. Please join me tomorrow to once again GROK the News. I'm Robert Gardner. Godspeed and God bless.